Hello, hello, hello. No, stop. I'm recording. In the spirit of proactivity, I decided to send this video out to everyone because I have a sneaking suspicion that some people might not read it. So let's go over it. The purpose of this essay, which is a proposal essay, is to choose a topic, highlight a problem that's associated with that topic, and then offer a solution. Okay, so you're proposing a solution for the problem. This essay should be persuasive, so you're going to try to convince the person that they should, or whoever your audience is, that they should incorporate your solution. For this paper, you want to have 5 to 7 pages, and you want to make sure that you have a strong thesis, and the reasons should be incorporated into the thesis. You will find evidence for your sources, which is what you've been doing for the research section during the research time. And you also need to come up with a rebuttal. So you're thinking ahead, and a rebuttal is going to be addressing the people who disagree with you or people who might think that your solution is not workable. Your paper should be in APA, and you'll see in this email that I have attached the APA guide. And if you have questions about that, you can send a message. Now, the way you set up your paper could be versatile, but Professor Erickson lists some categories, and I think that it might be easier if some of you were to stick to, well, actually for everybody, I'm not that it would be easier. I would stick to this. I think it might be easier if you stick to this outline, because it just makes sure that the information flows in a logical progression. Take note that there is an introduction and a background. In some papers, well, in traditional smaller scale papers, the background is in the introduction section, but for this paper, your background is going to need to be a bit more extensive. So I would say in the introduction, you're keeping it a little bit general, and you're just trying to give the reader a preview into what you're going to focus on. This preview should include a definition, because you've been working on this paper, you've been researching, so you already know what it is. And while you're writing, you might forget that the reader might not have the same working definition of the concept as you do. Whenever you're writing a paper, unless otherwise stated, you want to pretend that the reader has no idea of the concept of your topic. Giving your working definition will help solidify your solutions in the proposal. Some of you might decide to use the introduction to present the idea of AI in general. So you might give a definition of AI and talk about when AI first came on the scene and how its use has progressed over time to the point that now it's being used in whichever of your subject areas you've chosen. So how AI is being used in schools or in careers in terms of plagiarism and cheating, or how AI is being used to manipulate reality for deepfakes, or how AI is being used in war, or how AI is being used to take jobs, or how AI is causing a problem with bias. You want to end your introduction with your thesis. Well, these instructions say that you can put your thesis anywhere that makes sense, but generally the thesis is the last sentence of the introduction. Introduction should basically be for definitions and setting up the given the setting of what your topic is. Now, in the background is where you're going to give the history of the topic. So in terms of warfare, you might talk about when AI was first used in warfare. How was it used? Was it in the presentation of weapons, or what was AI in its most basic form in warfare? For deepfakes, when did deep faking first start? Did it start off as deep fakes, or did it start off as something simple as Photoshop and then it progressed? How did it get there? How does this program work? Because I can't trust anything I see on the internet now, because the fakes be faking. So just give us the history. In terms of job displacement, it can even go back into the industrialization era when they started implementing machines in the first place? Was the purpose of would you consider the use of machines AI, or does it not come until later with something specific? What marks the introduction of AI into the job sector? What was the initial purpose of it? And you're just going to progress like that. Same thing with bias. Now, significance of the issue. In order to provide a solution, you have to first highlight the problem. So you've given the introduction, you've presented the topic, the background of it, you've given the history, and now you have to tell us why we care about it. Why does it even matter? What is the issue with warfare, with AI being used in warfare? What does it cause? What is the issue with AI being used in job displacements? What does it cause? Is it going to be inconvenient? Do you think that there will be a lot of problems? I mean, of course, for everyone who's doing this, yes, AI is a computer, AI is a machine, but these machines are programmed. So now this definitely is important for the people who chose bias, because people can unknowingly put their bias into the code. But think about those when you're talking about the significance of the issue. For plagiarism and cheating, I mean, do you want your doctor to have been using AI to pass a test? The knowledge might seem to be there on paper, but when it comes to practice, the person has no idea what's going on. I mean, let's just reel off some issues in warfare. What about if everything is computer based in terms of a military situation and in a hospital? If everything is computer based, what if somebody has nothing else better to do besides hack a system and everything is held up and they can't do anything until they figure out who's hacking it and how to stop it? Do I watch too many NCIS Criminal Mind type shows? I mean, everybody doesn't have Penelope Garcia on standby, but what do you do in a situation like that? For deepfakes, significance of the issue. Imagine that you're somewhere minding your business and somebody walks up to you and says, "Oh, I saw you in that video last night. How dare you?" Or just anything. It's kind of similar to catfishing. The person, the catfisher, just thinks that they're using the person's picture and getting benefits. But what happens when you do something wrong to someone but you've used someone else's face, and the victim, the person who's angry, runs into the person whose face you used, and now they want to retaliate, but the other person has no idea going on. This is just more extreme to a deep fake. There's a video of you doing anything that shouldn't be happening, and now you've lost your job, or now you have strife within your family. It just problems. And of course, before you give your own solution, you should talk about existing solutions. Because these topics have been around for a while, y'all are not the first to come up with an idea of something that should be done. So what has already been done? What are some things that the organization or the government or individuals have tried to incorporate in order to solve the problem that you're focusing on? Give those first. What are some things that have been done, and what is wrong with them? Or what do you think might be hindering it from being a complete success? Because clearly the issues still exist. What are those solutions omitting a part of the problem? Maybe they are not considering a specific factor. Are the implementations not widespread enough? Is there not enough research that has been done to figure out what could solve these issues? That is what goes in the existing solutions or ideas. Now you get into your proposed solution. Your proposed solution and the reason and evidence go together, because while you give your proposal, while you give your solutions, you're going to back it up with why you think that would work and evidence that shows it might work. The evidence comes from your sources, so this is why you've had so long to research, and this is why you should review the APA guide to make sure that you're able to give these sources credit and avoid any rigmarole surrounding plagiarism. I could go over this for each of you and create a strategic plan that includes your topic, your thesis points, and some of your sources. But I'm not going to do it in this video because it'll take forever and none of us want to be subjected to that. But just look at your thesis, your first solution, the first reason you have for your solution. Start with a topic sentence, follow it up with evidence. Start with a topic sentence, making a claim that this solution will work because, explain why it might work, give some evidence from your sources that supports that idea, move on to the next one and follow it through that way. Once you get to the rebuttal, of course, what would people say who disagree with you? And after you give the rebuttal, follow up. Do you acknowledge that that perspective might have some validity, however yours is more valid because or is the idea of the rebuttal forgetting or not considering something that makes their rebuttal not accurate or somehow incomplete? Express that, follow it up, and then in the conclusion you're going to close it all out, put a bow on it, and close out the topic, maybe with a comment or two about the overall implications of the issue and the proposal. Well, I said just send it out, put a bow on it. I mean, I guess you could send it to me for me to look over. But now these are just a few disclaimers. Disclaimer 1, when I give these examples, I'm not telling you what to say. I'm just trying to offer some insight of things that could be said. Secondly, if you want to work on this part by part, you're welcome to send me parts. And if any revisions need to be made, you can make those before moving on to the next part, because there's nothing worse than spending all day working on something and then you get feedback and it turns out to not be in the way it should be. And then a person might be reluctant to change it because you say, well, I already wrote this, so y'all gonna have to work with that. But then your grade suffers. You know, nobody wants to do that. Additionally, I'm the embedded tutor for several different classes. It's about 100 of y'all and one of me. So while I am able to help everyone, I'm not able to help everyone if everyone waits to the last minute. So just be mindful of that when looking for feedback. And that's it. If you have some other questions, then feel free to reach out. I don't know how to make myself any more available, but that ends this video. See you in the APA walkthrough. Okay, thanks. Bye.